Hey guys, what's up? I'm gonna make a video today. This is a little out of the norm for how I normally do things because it's not a music video, but it pertains to music. I've had some people DM me before and ask how I get that much tone out of a 214, which is just a very basic model Taylor. The short answer is I don't know. I play a certain way. I can't tell you what it is. I will tell you this though. I use Elixir strings, 12 to 53 gauge. Every time, that is exactly what I'm going to put on my guitars. And I just wonder if it might be in the way that I string them. I can't prove that. I don't know that. It may not make a difference at all. But for the sake of giving people an answer, I'm going to make a video showing you how I do my strings. And this is going to be short because I'm only going to do one string, but the process is the same for all of them. And then at the end, I'll show you how I basically age the strings, I guess you'd call it, where I stretch them to make them to where they don't fall out of tune so they're ready to go for the stage in minutes. Stick around. Okay, so here we are. I've already got 3 strings on. I'm going to go ahead and do the D string, which is a 32 gauge. And I'll try to talk through the process, but probably the best thing is just going to be to watch. First thing I do, I take a pin and I line the groove up with the string. And then I poke it down in the hole like that. And one thing you'll want to do is you'll want to seat that string right at first. The pin will have a tendency to slip out if you don't do that. So I go ahead and seat it, and then I put them through the hole. And one important thing, I'm going to try to get this up here to the camera. One important thing that I do, doesn't really play into the tone, but this is just how I like things to be. I get that pin to where the hole is at a 45 from the neck, and that just makes it go right in there real nice. As soon as I can hit the hole. There we go. That just makes it go in there at a nice angle so I can start. Now hopefully you guys can see this because my camera's at a little bit of a distance. Maybe I can zoom it in here. Let me try. No, it's not going to let me. I'll see if I can't edit it and make a zoom on that part. But what I do is I take my string and I'll lift it with my thumb and I make an L with my hand like that. And I rest the string on top of my thumb. And that gives me about the perfect distance or perfect length of string for when it wraps around the peg. So then I'll take the string underneath itself and hold tight here down to the nut. And then I just kink it over. And I know people are gonna roast me and say, well, it ain't the right way to do it. Well, I'm sorry, this is how Jacob Llewellyn restrings his guitar. You can do it however you please, and you're probably right, but this is how I do it. Okay, so I continue to hold that tight like that, and then I will take my string winder and have at it. Now, when it gets around about to that point, I hold down. It's actually easier to do without a string winder. I hold down on the string so that it goes underneath this piece that's sticking up. I want that string to wind downward. Once it's past it, then I can put the winder back on it. So I'll go around like that, and I'll make sure that it's always staying, stays below the first wrap as it cools around there. Like I said, sometimes it's easier to do without your string winder. Now that I've got it started cooling, I can go ahead and do it with the string winder. And I always keep tension right here. You don't want to do it too hard or you'll put a kink in the string. You don't want that. You just want to keep some tension there to keep the string tight as it goes around the peg. And you'll feel it start to tighten up. can actually hear it as it does it. I don't go fully tight yet. That's got the string on. And then I clip it to where there's about maybe 1/4 of an inch of string on there, about like that. And then I'll take my pliers or whatever you use, I've got an actual tool, and I'll flatten it around there to where I'm not getting poked by stuff. A lot of people like to leave this piece of their string on there. I'm not really sure if there's a reason for that or if it just looks cool. Some people take them and coil them around. And I've done this. It doesn't seem to make much of a difference, but I like a clean look because I play a lot of shows locally. So I always make them look like that. And that's got the string in. One thing I do like to do is I check this pin and I'll push down on it. I got to do it on the table. I'll push down on it and make sure that it's well seated, because when you start tightening these, sometimes they have a tendency to still pop out even though we properly seated them. So you want to watch for that too. As you're tightening at the other end, you'll hold your thumb down on it and keep it from popping out. You want a well seated peg by the end of this. That's something that's really important to me. All right, I'm going to shut the camera off till I get them all on there, and then I'll show you about how I stretch the strings to pre-age them. See you in a bit. All right, guys, can you see me? We're back. I've got the guitar restrung, and it is not in tune at all. I haven't touched anything on it. I will show you this. There's what my tuning heads look like when they're all done. You can kind of see how the strings are clipped and how I lay them over. And also, here's the string pegs, the bridge pegs that hold it in, bridge pins, sorry. They are seated well. That's very important to me. And like I said, the guitar hasn't been touched otherwise, not in tune, hasn't been pre-stretched. Also, I just realized I wore the worst clothes I could pick for this job. Sorry about that. Anyway, not important to guitar, but guitar's not in tune. So here's what we do. Lay it flat. You can do this on a table or not, doesn't matter. Hold it in your lap. And you're going to take these strings. And before I do this, I've heard before that this is not good for your neck to do this over, not once or twice, but over a long time of doing this, you can actually possibly bend the neck. I'm not real worried about that. I've got a truss rod in there that can be adjusted. If something else happens, I've got a guy that lives right here where I live that I take my guitars to. He can pretty much fix anything. He could build me a new guitar if I needed it. So personally, I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is I play a show at least 4 to 6 times a month. And I want this guitar to be, as soon as I put these strings on, I want the strings to be ready to go within minutes. I don't want them to be stretching as I play and having to constantly tune. I need a guitar that's going to stay in good tuning on stage. So I pre-stretch them and get all the stretch out of them, and it's basically, in one form or another, kind of like aging and wearing in your strings. It really helps. So this is how I do it. Sorry for the long intro. We're going to get into it. You take your strings. First, you want to lift them. I don't know if you can see that there. You just lift them about that high, and you go all the way down the neck, all the way to the first fret, and come back and stretch them little by little, all the way down. Okay, that's got one. So we're going to do all of them. I'll do them real quick. And then what I also do is I'll replicate a bend, and I'll do this to them. Okay? So you do that with all of them. I'm going to do it real quick so we don't waste a lot of time in this video. I kind of do both at the same time, to be honest. And you're just pre-stretching them here, like I said, so they won't fall out of tune constantly. That's already taken out of them. You obviously will still have to tune if you play a 3-hour show or you're sitting at the house playing for 3 hours. Just the nature of the beast, it's going to fall out of tune a little bit, but this helps extremely. Okay, So we've stretched them once. Now we're going to tune them. Take your tuner. I usually tune by ear, believe it or not, but on this process, I always use a tuner so I can get dead on and get there quickly. So I'll take my tuner and turn it on. I'm just going to tune up real quick. I may cut this out of the video, I don't know yet. And as I tune them, you probably know from tuning your own guitar, they fall out of tune as you tune them because the tension changes as you get to a bigger, as you go through the bigger strings. So you got to go back and tune each string a couple of times to get it to hold, especially after you put a new set on. Actually holding pretty good. Okay, so we've tuned once after we've stretched, and you can hear it's not perfect yet, but it's starting to get there. And I do want to mention you'll have to tune each string a couple of times as you tune it, because the stretch on the bigger strings is going to throw the bottom strings off as you tune up higher on the frets, or the neck, I mean. So do tune it a couple times before you call it good. And now we're going to ruin it all again. So you take it and stretch them again. I always do this twice because it seems like after you tune them once, that they aren't quite there yet on the stretching process. Usually 2 times will get it. I have had it in the past, especially with cheaper strings, it seems like you have to do it maybe 3 times, but all strings will hold after you do this. Wiggle them and stretch them up. Especially want to get those bigger strings. They'll hold. And the little string seems like it needs a lot too, because it tends to fall out more than any of them. I'm not sure if that's because of the size of it or the frailness of it, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to tune again. Now that we've stretched twice, let's tune up. All right, I've tuned from bottom to top. Now I'm gonna go back through and do it again. Fine tune it. Especially on this second pass, you wanna fine tune everything. All right, we should be pretty close. There's a nice G chord. Now, that's pretty good, but after I've done it twice, stretching, twice tuning with the tuner, I like to go back and make it suit my ear. I've found that, and maybe it's just my ear, maybe I don't hear right, but people seem to like the way my guitar sounds. And I found that on, I think it's the D and the G string, I tune just a shade sharp. It'll still show right on a tuner, but if you can really listen, they're sharp compared to a natural D and a natural G. So I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll see how it sounds after I've done that. The E string's another one, the little E is another one that I seem to tune a little sharp on. And I don't know, it just works for me. It makes this guitar sound sweeter, I think. Now that's pretty good, I like that. Let's try it out for a couple. Sounds pretty good to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps the people who have DM'd me about this, and maybe it'll help some other people finding a better tone on your acoustic guitar, especially a Taylor 214 like mine. Thanks, everybody.